Welcome back to another exciting episode of Talking Lamar. This week, we're talking about one of the greatest actors in our history, Denzel Washington.
What are you talking about?
What are you talking about? Sorry, I forgot what I was talking about.
What are you talking about?
I am talking to you.
That's just what I was talking about.
It's Talking Lamar.
You know, I just got through this week watching and reviewing The Equalizer 3. Denzel is one of those guys, if he's in the movie, you don't have to give me any other detail. Like if 2 months from now, something comes out and says, Denzel Washington starring, I don't care. Tell me when it's going to be playing. I'm going to go see it because he's that kind of guy. Do y'all not feel the same way about him?
There's nothing Denzel could be in that I wouldn't watch. Yeah,
he's a
I'm
terrific
with you.
actor. Yeah.
Oh, he's just something else. And, you know, he wanted to be, when he was young, he wanted to be a doctor. But while he was getting ready to go down that path, he wound up trying to he had to get another class. And somebody said, hey, get this acting class because it'll be easy. You'll get the credit for it. You'll make a good grade. It won't be any problem. He loved it. It sidetracked him. And that's where he headed. And his parents, his dad was the preacher in a huge church. And Denzel had actually thought about being a preacher. He's still, to this day, his faith is still Christian, and he's still a good Christian.
Strong.
But he's very strong.
Can you imagine what a pastor Denzel Washington would have been?
Well, evidently his dad was that. I mean, he had a huge congregation, and he was doing great. But his parents wound up getting divorced when he was 14, and so his mother sent him to Oakland Military Academy. It was a private school, and he said that changed his life because at 14 he was right on that edge, and all of his buddies, his running buddies, the guys he was hanging around with, he left and went to the private school and moved on. And he said he tracked them back down years later. And between the guys he was hanging out with together, combined, they had done 40 years in prison.
Oh, smoke.
They'd all went to jail for something. And he said, that was my guys. That was my guys. So he sort of dodged a bullet on that deal. And he met his wife, Pauletta Pearson. He met her on the set of Wilma. It was a movie about the story about American track sprinter Wilma Rudolph. And they got married on June 25th, 1983. They're still married. She finally accepted the third proposal. He proposed twice. She turned him down. The third time, she accepted. They have been married for over 40 years, and they share 4 children amongst them. And he really started off, his big deal was in TV. Do y'all remember him being on St. Elsewhere? He was Dr. Philip Chandler. No, I remember him. Yeah. I remember him. I watched that. He played that character for 6 years. But in 1989, he had done the movie Glory. And he won an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor in the movie Glory. And so after that, he just started concentrating on films. And over his career, he's had like 33 nominations. He's won like 6 awards. He's received 10 Academy Award nominations. He got his second one for Best Actor. His first one was Glory for Supporting Actor. He got his Best Actor award for Training Day. And at that point, he became the second Black performer to win Best Actor. The very first one was Sidney Poitier in 1963. And to this day, Denzel is still the most nominated Black actor in the history of the Oscars. That's
33 nominations.
Yes.
Amateur.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised he's the most nominated. I'm just surprised there aren't more Oscars on his shelf.
That is true. That is true.
Yeah.
Well, we'll take a break right here. We'll come back and talk about some of his movies. You know, one of the movies that he's most known for is Training Day. Have y'all all seen Training Day?
Oh, yes.
I have not.
Oh my! Oh, Bob.
Bob, it's terrific. You would love it.
You need to find it, stream it this afternoon. Because he is the villain. He is the bad guy. Mm-hmm. And he has said in multiple times the detective Alonzo Harris, which who he played on Training Day, is his favorite character that he has ever played. And you know, most great actors talk about the fact it's more fun to play the bad guy than anything. But he really, and it's very famous for the one quote. They're at this point at the end of the movie, a bunch of the gangs are sort of surrounding him and they're looking to get their revenge and their payback. But he was so cocky. I mean, he looks at every one of them and he does that great line, King Kong ain't got shit on me. And then he goes after him. He did that quote. That was not in the script. He made it up on the fly right then and there because he said he wanted to come up with something that represented what a pompous, just overconfident human being he was. He thought nothing would ever happen to him and nothing would ever lose. But it was a great line, but he made that up. Mm-hmm. One of the cool things about that movie was the founder of the Black P. Stones Bloods, it's a big gang, they controlled this area in Los Angeles, and it was called the Jungles. And that's where all the set stuff, that's where everything was shot. And the founder of the gang was on the set in a chair, sitting there watching all of the filming that goes on in his neighborhood. He had made a deal. He allowed the producers to use his neighborhood in exchange for casting actual gang members in the movie.
Wow.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. That movie there, unbelievable.
When you think of Denzel Washington, like the first thing that comes to mind, set his talent and his beauty aside, he seems like such a decent human being. And what you just described is the action of a decent human being, is it not? Like he's decent. Yeah.
Yes.
I don't think we value that as much as we should anymore in our culture. I really don't. We celebrate bad behavior and selfish behavior and shitty behavior and narcissism, but we do not celebrate fundamental decency as much as we used to.
Well, here's the other thing I think we do. In the entertainment industry or in the athletic industry and sports and whatever, we let people get by with not only not being decent human beings, but being terrible human beings.
Yeah.
And doing crappy things. And we just go, well, you know, they're a movie star. Okay. They're a movie star, but that doesn't mean they can't be a nice human being. I mean, you know, it's, you know, but
the society has stretched itself in certain areas to the point where there are people in America that think that if they have to conform to something, that suddenly one of their freedoms is taken away from them.
Yeah.
Rather than, you know, you have to be nice to other people. You can't go 90 miles an hour in front of a hospital or a school, you know, but the rules don't apply. I couldn't really talk about it on the air, but I was kind of shocked. This is something small, but I was kind of shocked when I walked into, where was this? I think I was picking up a pizza somewhere, and there was a woman with two kids who were about 8 and 9 years old, I guess, in front of me, and she's got a T-shirt on that said, "This ain't no fucking country club." Okay, so it's a rock lyric. I understand that, and you're a rock and roll gal, but you know, it's Saturday evening in a nice family pizza joint, and your two kids are there. I just don't know what's happened to our society. And if you said, you know, hey, I'm offended by that T-shirt.
Oh, you know, oh my God. Oh,
yeah.
Oh,
right.
Because here's the deal. That's her right. Your rights to go into a pizza place and not have your kids assaulted by that kind of thing, those don't count. Expression is the only right that counts. This is what makes Denzel such a cool guy. His talent is enormous, as good, if not better, than anybody else in Hollywood. Yet he still conducts himself as a gentleman. When he gives a speech to a graduating class, He gives them great inspirational advice. You know, I mean,
Right.
he's just a good guy. And he had donated, Felicia Rashad had asked him about donating some money to Howard University for the acting programs and stuff. So he put money into that. Well, his money wound up paying the tuition for Chadwick Boseman, who was the Black Panther in the Marvel movie. Okay.
Yeah.
And so Denzel's money paid, because he didn't have any money. Denzel's money paid for his tuition for the acting program. They had never met, but Boseman never said anything about it. But he found out that the money, basically came from Denzel. And so he was able to present Denzel with a 47th AFI Life Achievement Award. And when he presented him with the award, he told as a presentation, he said, "Your money paid for my acting. And without Denzel Washington, there is no Black Panther. There is nothing."
Oh, that was nice.
And that was in 2019. And then Boseman wound up dying in 2020. So it just shows what a good guy he is. Did you remember the movie Flight, about the guy that flipped the plane upside down and saved? Okay.
Yeah.
He had to gain a bunch of weight for whatever reason. And they asked him about it, and he goes, "It was really simple. He just, every night at midnight, I ate a huge meal and went straight to bed." And he said it was easy and it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. I wish I could do it again. And now he's very famous for his portrayal of Malcolm X.
Right.
And if you stop and think about it, probably a lot of younger people, as they've grown up, that seeing him in that movie and his image, when they think of Malcolm X, that's who they're thinking about, the image, the character that he played. And he took that role so serious. For the time that he was filming that, he stopped eating pork because of the Muslim faith. And while he was studying to do all that, I mean, in fact, I did read this too. When they were filming that, you couldn't film in Mecca unless you were Islamic. It had to be Islam. So everybody on his film crew, everybody but him, was Islamic. But they let him in because in preparation for the role, he had studied the Quran and everything to have a viewpoint of Malcolm X.
Right.
And so he is the only person ever allowed to go there to film that wasn't Muslim.
Wow.
So,
they picked the right guy. Yeah.
Yeah, they did.
And he's been married. Haven't he and his wife, Paulette, her name is Paulette, I think. Yeah. Haven't they been married since electricity was invented? Like, haven't they been married
over 40
forever?
years? Over 40
and
years.
You never so much as a whisper of anything scandalous, remotely scandalous around them.
Listen, the only time you hear about him is when he's in a movie. I mean, other than that, he goes back to his business. And he's just been great in so many roles. He turned down the role that Brad Pitt had in Seven. They offered it to him first. But he said the movie was just too dark. It was just too dark, and he just didn't want to do it. And they interviewed him a year or so afterwards, and he said, that might have been a mistake, because it was a great movie. I mean, it was a great movie. But, and he also was offered the role of Michael Clayton before George Clooney took it.
That's the thing. Too. But that's the thing about Denzel, and it comes back to the D word, decency. Like he has piloted his life and career by his own very specific moral compass, and it shows. Like, it just shows. Yeah. Have you ever met someone who doesn't like Denzel Washington? And if you did meet that person, would you slap them with an open hand or knee them with in the groin?
Yeah,
which one?
And never be around him again. Because how is it you don't like this guy? And one of the things that I found out in the third movie, when he's co-starring with the girl that he played Man on Fire. What did I say? Her name was?
Dakota Fanning.
Yeah, Dakota. He not only did they remember each other, of course, from that movie, they have maintained friends. I mean, she comes to his house, she's friends with his kids. I mean, they have maintained a relationship ever since that movie, and he has watched her grow up into this woman. I mean, and him and Julia Roberts, they're great friends. They go out and have dinners and stuff.
How about Jodie Foster? I think they also have a real tight friendship, don't they? Yeah. I
think that if you're a decent person, I think he's a decent person. He becomes friends. And I think it means something to him. And I think he does the work to maintain the friendship, which says a lot for him again. So listen.
And all of that happens where there are never any cameras or an audience. Isn't that interesting? He shows up to work, but he does not live his life like it's a performance or a curated exhibit.
No.
He's a really interesting actor that way.
Yeah, he is. And this last one was just as good. There's nothing I've ever seen him do that wasn't fantastic. Bob, you need to watch Training Day. It's very violent, but it is such a great, great movie. It really is.
I saw him in a violent movie. I think it was American Gangster, wasn't he? In American Gangster.
Ooh, that was strong.
So I will see that. I will do it.
It was good. It was good. Well, I'm thinking that's about wraps it up for this episode of Talking Lamar. Of course, we've had a great time. We really hope you've had a great time too. And if you have, tell everybody you see. If you didn't, try us again next week. I believe you'll like that one. Y'all have a great day.